So I welcome you all to our Scaled Agile Framework introductory webinar, and let's start with scaling Agile. Now, when we talk about scaling, from our last poll, we can think of there are multiple dimensions related to scaling. It is not only about that more than 9 people working in a one project. Yeah, it is one of the dimension, but it is also about people might be working from different geography, not necessary. And the another important dimension which comes in a scaling is how do we scale Agile at an organization level? How do we make the complete organization scaled? So that is the area which is focused in many of the scaling framework, that how do we optimize, how do we do a scaling at a program level, means multiple teams coordinated by a program layer, and how do we ensure that objectives, visions, roadmap which are planned at a portfolio level get implemented by the team. So, or in a reverse way, we can think of that we are doing Agile here. Already we have a good Agile teams working at a team level. How to take these Agile values, Agile principles, and the good things which we have learned at a team level till organization strategy, till up to portfolio. So this is something which we talk in scaling. So SAFe talks about 3 layers like team, program, and portfolio. Team, again, Scrum teams working for their sprints as per their release goals, and there is a middle layer which is a program layer which helps in coordinating the work done by the teams so that they remain aligned, and finally we achieve the visions or roadmaps which are laid by the portfolio team. Now, usually when we talk about scaling, there are common challenges, like many of you might be already working in an environment where more than one team is involved. You may find that when we have a big team, the coordination among team becomes a difficult task. We need to ensure that risks, dependencies get raised at a right point in time, so other teams are aware that something is going wrong in a given area and which may impact them and in upcoming sprint. We can't make the complete set of individuals sit co-located. So another distributed team is one of the characteristic which is more or less always associated with the scaling of Agile. We end up working with a large product backlog. So the product backlog of which may run for multiple years, which involves multiple team working on it. The explanation or elaboration of that particular backlog, along with ensuring that alignment and vision is maintained, sometimes becomes a big challenge. A lot of time I find people talking about if you are scaling, it's difficult to produce integrated working software every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, because a lot of dependencies, something get detected once the integration is done. So product integration or a frequent integration or a working software every alternate 2 weeks may becomes a challenge. Architecture development, many times we find that we follow a principle of self-organizing team where they can figure out what is the best architecture should be used for a given project. But when we work in a scaled environment, it sometimes becomes difficult that we need to ensure that all the teams remain aligned with an architectural guideline. They understand the impact of one architectural decisions on other teams. So there should be some proactive approach in order to ensure this alignment so that we take care of this particular challenge. And code quality always remain a challenge, even if it's a small team or a scaled team. So these are some of the challenges which are faced when we work in a scaled environment. And it is not, these challenges are not new. Even when the SAFe was not there, we were doing many things in order to take care of these challenges. The release planning practice is something which helps us in planning a quarter or 6 months, depending upon release duration, in a one go. It also helps us in resolving dependencies and coordinating work among the teams. So we were using release planning practice to take care of some of the coordination and planning related challenges or alignment related challenges in scaling environment. Scrum of Scrum is quite known practice. We were using Scrum of Scrum, and we are still using Scrum of Scrum in order to ensure coordination among teams, where teams were coming up. It's usually done in a daily stand-up format, but not necessarily every day, where the representative from multiple teams comes together and they talk about what they have achieved and what they are planning to do and what are the impediments they are facing, and it's a problem-solving meeting. We have a practice called Meta Scrum, which is more like a content level meeting, where multiple product owners, the people who owns the product owner for a respective teams or a segment of product backlog, they come together and they talk about what should we do in the next sprint. So it is kind of an alignment meeting where group of people who are focused on content and product backlog or grooming, they talk about how do we want to take this particular program next. We have been using community of practice in order to ensure that good architecture, UX, UI guidelines get implemented across the program. Community of practice gives us kind of a center of excellence kind of an environment where multiple team members from a different team which are related to that particular practice, be it testing, development, architecture, get engaged in ensuring that right practices are getting implemented in their respective team. As we scale, we have been using some proactive approach for refining product backlog. You may find that in a scaled environment, people use defined or a agreed or documented definition of ready. So the refinement of product backlog is done maybe one iteration or two iteration ahead, and we may have a very defined definition of ready, which means that till the time the product backlog item is not having all these characteristics, it cannot be scheduled for upcoming sprints. We have a joint retrospective practice where multiple teams comes together at a frequency and they do retrospective. Integrated sprint planning, that has been another practice which has been used by many of the scaled agile users or scaled agile implementer, where the sprint planning of one team the sprint planning is done in a big room or in an environment where people can talk from among the teams and ensures that if they have some dependencies, they can get it included in somebody else's sprint backlog. So these were some of the practice which were already in use in order to take care of environment which requires some level of scaling. So here we have discussed some of the areas where just a sec. So here we have touched some of the areas where we spoke about that what is this scaling is all about, and what we were already doing while we were trying to scale one small agile team at a program level. Now let's talk about what is this SAFe is all about then. So we start with SAFe values here and see how they can help us in scaling agile. So Scaled Agile Framework is a proven public facing framework for applying lean and agile practice at an enterprise level. It's a free framework. You can read about it at scaledagileframework.com. It talks about big picture. So this diagram is kind of a trade symbol, or you can think of, whenever you think of SAFe, you end up visualizing something like this. So this is a big picture, and each element of this particular picture is elaborated at scaledagileframework.com. And this picture has 3 levels: portfolio, program, and team, and it gives us a direction. It gives us a framework which can help us in scaling agile team at an enterprise level. So it takes care of both the dimension. It's not only about working many people on a one particular program. So it talks about giving in a way where multiple teams can work, but it also integrate that from the enterprise strategy with the team execution. So it also has a strong portfolio layer which ensures that things which are visualized at a portfolio level are the one which are getting implemented by the team, and it is very closed circle. So SAFe has 4 core values. It believes in alignment of portfolio, program, and teams towards a common objectives. It talks about program execution. So the middle layer, it says that just strategies is nothing till the time we execute it. So it believes in program level execution. Program is collection of teams. It believes in transparency by way of ensuring transparency across all these 3 levels. So what is happening in a team is visible to the portfolio and at a program level. So the complete framework believes in transparency, and code quality or engineering practice remains a core value of SAFe, because we cannot scale if the engineering practices are not in place. And it is always said that we can only scale Agile if we have a good Agile implementation. If we don't have a good Agile or Scrum implementation, it's difficult to scale it. If we start scaling of a problematic or not yet mature Agile implementation, we may end up into many problems because of mixing of bad Agile and scaling. So SAFe has 3 roots. It focuses on Agile, Lean, and product development flow. Now, many of you might be already aware about Agile and Lean. Still, we will look at what kind of practices or what kind of principles are followed in SAFe from Agile and Lean. There is a new name, product development flow. It's a book, and this book talks about how to implement Lean in a new product development environment, because Lean has been used in manufacturing environment a lot, and when we try to implement those principles, there has to be some level of modification in order to make them suitable for new product development. So this is something interesting you may find when you get into the roots of SAFe. Let's look at Agile. So what Agile in SAFe? Now, many times you hear a lot of criticism about SAFe, and you may end up hearing that SAFe is not Agile. I was reading some of the comments on internet before I went for my SPC training, just to judge where I am heading to. Is it something very anti-Agile subject? So I got a feeling that, yeah, it looks like it is not Agile. When I went through this particular program and then read about it, I came to know that they are practicing all of the Scrum practices. So when we talk about Agile, SAFe implements all Scrum project management practices, including team roles, ceremonies at team level. So at a bottom level, Scrum is implemented. SAFe uses popular practices of extreme programming like continuous integration, test first development, spikes, refactoring. So engineering practices are used in order to ensure code quality. Because as I said, if you don't have a good engineering practice in place, it's difficult to scale those kind of projects. Then it focuses on Kanban. At a portfolio level, it implements Kanban principles also at a program levels by way of thinking of a flow rather than doing asynchronous development that we have something to develop. Let's plan the project. It focuses on that flow-based work and managing demand, ensuring WIP limits. So it forces work in progress as limits at various levels, and these Kanban principles are implemented in complete scaled Agile framework. So the Agile route is an important route for implementing SAFe. Now let's come to a product development flow. As I said, many of you might not have seen this particular thing. This is a book, and this is a very interesting book. Talks about how lean and manufacturing things can be used in software development, and it focuses on the first principle. Talks about that we should focus on economic view. Like whenever we make decision, we should see what is an economic value proposition given by that particular option. It focuses on cost of delay. Like many times when we do a product backlog prioritization, we focus on value, we focus on cost, we focus on risk, we may focus on some learning and exploration, but it gives another dimension that we should also focus on cost of delay. If some item has as higher cost of delay, it should be done and sooner than the others. So it talks about whenever we make decisions, there should be an economic view. There should be a simple economic model which should be able to feed you with the right priorities. It focuses on queues. it focuses on handling of queues because it believes that if you have a long queue, it demotivates the user, it demotivates the server, because the queue represent problems or delay in bottleneck in the development process. It focuses on that we need to exploit variability. Now, many times when we look at a manufacturing process, we think of that things should be stable. We should have minimum variance. It says that in a product development environment, you can't have a stable or non-variable environment, but you need to figure out how you can exploit those variability and get your work done. Focusing on reducing batch size, which is also implemented in Lean and Kanban, that rather than implementing work or doing work in a big batches, we should have small chunk of batches which can provide values faster. Apply work in progress constraint. This has been again a use principle in Agile, in Kanban from times. Now, the sixth principle focuses on cadence and synchronization. Now, the word cadence is very frequently used in Scale Agile Framework, and it is coming from product development flow. Cadence is nothing but it's a time box predictable duration. It says that rather than doing things asynchronously, you declare that every 6 weeks I will be having program increment, every 2 weeks I would be having sprint demo. So work in a cadence and ensures these cadences, these time boxes are synchronized with each other. It should not happen that some teams are finishing on Monday, others are finishing on Wednesday, and third are finishing on Thursday. So it believes in that we should have a synchronization, and that there should be a cadence. There is a time box duration when multiple peoples or multiple teams work together. It focuses on feedbacks, so which is again an Agile and Lean principle that we should have fast feedback. It also gives a clear indication for need of a decentralization of control, which talks about that you can't think of controlling everything at a portfolio level. You can't think of controlling everything at a program level. You should decentralize the control on the basis of the nature of the work. So if some decision has to be taken very frequently, it's better to be given to the team level. If some decisions are not that frequent but impact as a strategy, they should be taken at a portfolio level. So the product development flow is an interesting book, and if you are thinking of getting into details of the SAFe and how it works, I would recommend you should have a look at it. Lean, so third route, which is quite obvious, because most of the scaling of Agile is leaning on Lean, because Lean gives us some direction that if we want to have a lean, without waste, flexible, adaptable system at a bigger level, we need to look at Lean principles, Lean theories. So in SAFe, it believes in people, so respect people goes in SAFe as well. It focuses on that leader should be lean and agile leader. So leaders should focusing on changing the system. They should not just say that we are committed to quality, we are committed to excellence, but they should show some actions which helps the organization change. Now, many of our agilists may not have a good feeling about managers, but in Lean, managers and leaders has a proper role and work to do. They need to focus on bringing changes and creating an environment which helps us in reducing waste. Kaizen, continuous improvement, and focus on value and value stream. So Kaizen remains a focused area here. So in SAFe also we have an inspect and adapt cycles. Inspect and adapt happens at multiple level, and which focuses on continuous improvement. And the Lean recommends that we should focus on generating value, reducing waste, and ensuring that our value streams are efficient. So Agile, Lean, product development flow, these principle goes as a root of SAFe. Now SAFe, it's all about this big picture. It's about alignment, which is done between portfolio, program, and team. Now this picture may look confusing and too complicated. And it is, but the good part is if you visit Scaled Agile Framework, each of these items are clickable and you can read about them. So that's a direction for future uses. Now the Scaled Agile Framework has these 3 levels: portfolio level, program level, and a team level. At a team level, we are using Scrum. So we are running sprints, and then a collection of sprints achieves a program level objective. So we can think of we have one quarter goal just for an simplicity, and these quarterly goals are achieved by a team, a collection of teams working together, and they get aligned by a support team, just for a simplicity, who sits at a program level. So at a program level, their goal is that ensuring that teams remain aligned to a program objective, and this program level team or area also ensures that next program objectives are refined ahead of time. So at a portfolio level, at a top level, the business owners and epic owners, the epic owners are the one who thinks of big business requirement, which should have a lightweight business case, and which is something they want to implement and get the work done. So at a portfolio level, we have a system where we implement Kanban, which ensures that review and evaluation of all these is epics, and finally they get listed or stored in a portfolio backlog. So we will get into the details of these three layers, but for a starting point of view, you can think of that we have a top level portfolio backlog, then we have a program backlog, and then we have a team backlog. Now they are at a different level of elaboration. They are detailed at a different level, but they are integrated. So at a portfolio level, you have, say, business epics or architecture epics, which are big. And at a program level, you have a collection of features which you want to see in your integrated system. At a team backlog level, you have user stories which these teams would be working on sprint by sprint. Let's get into the detail of portfolio level. Let's start from the top. Usually the presentation starts from the bottom, but we are doing it in a reverse direction. And just for an information, there is a safe foundation presentation which is available at scaleagileframework.com, which gives you a detailed values and principle overview behind SAFE, and it also introduces a Scale Agile framework. So you may look at it in order to get some more details related to SAFE. So portfolio level. So portfolio level, as we were talking about product development flow, we need to have a place where we create centralized strategies. So portfolio, we ensure that our strategies, our directions are centralized, but when we do an execution at a team level, it can be done in a decentralized level. Portfolio level, we have lean and agile leaders who are responsible for making budgeting, financial decisions, who look at, okay, does this idea, does this business epic make sense? Should we commit our resources to it? It also ensures at a portfolio level that we ensures work in progress limits. Now, today I was giving one presentation on SAFE, and when people thought of how a WIP can be implemented at a portfolio level, because portfolio level is not having tasks, not having stories. Yes, but we do need to have a limit for business ideas. You may have 20 business ideas, but you need to limit as per your capacity that at a given point of time, I can't work on more than X number of ideas or X number of business epics. So that is an important, and by implementing lean and portfolio level in SAFE, we make those things transparent and visual. SAFE has a clear approach on governance and Kaizen. So at a portfolio level, we do have a portfolio matrices, and we do have a portfolio program portfolio management group. So this program portfolio management group ensures that whatever is happening inside or down the line and get accumulated, and they get a visibility and transparency of the direction which these ideas are taking. So it has a governance and continuous improvement in place. And at a top level, we define values in the format of business and architectural epics. So big things, big requirements which we want to implement, could be an architecture level, could be on business level, but they are at epic level. So the PPM group, which is a program portfolio group, plays an important role at portfolio level, and they focus on strategy and funding, because at this level we decide which particular epic should be taken for the development, and they provide budget for it. They do look at a program management, so they are not involved in the program execution, but they do get information. They do look at how these strategies and these business epics are getting implemented by the program team. So I'm not using safe terminologies as of now. So by the program team, and they do have a governance structure which ensures that team level, program level things are getting consolidated, and they can make some, they can take some view out of it. The portfolio level Kanban flow, like since many find it confusing that how could there be a Kanban at portfolio level, so I included one slide on it. So funnel is something where a lot of ideas are coming, lot of maybe on the basis of opportunity, or maybe on the basis of some compliance need, some problems because we are taking too much time to do some set of work, so we should do something. So you keep getting such ideas, and these ideas goes through review and analysis stages. So many ideas may get like knocked down in these stages. Finally, once those ideas are approved, they come at a portfolio backlog. So portfolio backlogs is a collection of business and architectural epics which are ready to be picked. And then we have an implementation step where the program and team, so the second and third layer of SAFe will come into the picture, and they will implement those epics by running programs and sprints. Now, we spoke about integrating things. So the portfolio, program, and team. So a business value delivery is integrated by a way that at a portfolio level we think in an epic format, at a program level we think as a features level, and at a team level we have small user stories. So collection of user stories will implement the feature, collection of features will implement the business epic. So this is how the scaling or the integration of teamwork is done by the SAFe. Now second, so this is something to do with program. Let's look at, this is something to do with portfolio. Let's look at how SAFe take care of program level. So what is program level, by the way? Now before we get into program level, we need to understand a term called Agile Release Train. Now many of you who are just exploring SAFe may find it a bit new, that what is this train is all about. Now it is simple. It's a typical group of teams or a group of agile teams. So somebody asked that what could be the ideal size of a SAFe project. So there is no SAFe project actually. There are only trains. And in a SAFe, you can run multiple train, but a one train which will be implementing one of the instance of SAFe is recommended to have 50 to 125 people. Again, these people are divided in 7 plus minus 2, say a size of Scrum team. They are organized at a value stream level, not at a project level. So Agile Release Train is a collection of teams, first thing. The another thing is, in SAFe we don't talk about project. So they are not project team. In fact, the product development flow says that don't plan project. Make something a flow of work. So the product development should be done in a flow rather than asynchronous process. Now how it is defined is that, for example, if you're booking a flight, then you do a planning. You select the timing, you select a lot of things, and then only you plan that particular travel. So it is like a project planning, and it is asynchronous. You do it once and you don't do it very frequently. But when you take a train or a metro train, you don't do planning. You just go to the station, and you know that at a frequency trains comes and you need to board them. So in a similar way, this metaphor talks about that rather than having a defined asynchronous project plan, you need to create a system where collection of individuals like 50 to 125 people who board one particular train, and they are working in a 5 to 12 weeks time boxed cadence. So they take work for 6 weeks, for an example, and then they do it after 6 weeks. So if you need some work to be done, if you miss this particular train, you can take the next train. Rather than thinking from a zero and thinking of like a project where we say that, okay, I have a temporary endeavor to meet, in SAFe we try to map that thing as a ongoing process. So the development becomes an ongoing process where team is working in a cadence of sprints, a cadence of defined time box, which could be 6 to 12 weeks. Now, how do we make these streams? So if it is not project, so team is organized around value stream. So for example, like if you are a telecom provider, you may have a one value stream which is taking care of voice calls. So you have a one team which takes care of all voice related value stream project. So there is a voice stream. If you are a service company, you may have a value stream which deals with the mobile apps. So you may talk about that these are the individual who works on mobile apps. Whatever comes for mobile apps, they work in a cycle of 6 to 12 weeks. So you define one particular cycle. They work on for example, we take a default which is 10 weeks. So they work in the cycle of 10 weeks, and we plan their work every 10 weeks. So they will pick up the work, they will pull the work from a program backlog every program increment duration. So the development is done in cadence rather than in the format of project. So this is a major shift for many of project managers like me, where we need to think in a cadence or a flow based development rather than an asynchronous development. The another thing which this ATR represent is that, as I said, it has a collection of teams, but these teams are executing sprints which are synchronized. So they are starting their sprint on a given day, they are finishing on the sprint on a given day, and all these teams are synchronized with each other. And this sprint duration is recommended to be 2 weeks. So all the teams who are sitting in this release trains are running 2 weeks sprints. And so it ensures that we deliver valuable systems at the end of the cadence, or the release can happen in between as well. So this is something which we need to visualize, that what are they trying to achieve by making the flow-based development rather than having asynchronous development. So one of the question came during the Q&A break, that why do we have a product development flow as a principle? So this is one of the major shifts where the product development flow plays a role. And we had a question related to the size of these ATR. So these are 50 to 125. So how do we do? What do we do at program level? So program level does focuses on face-to-face interaction. So we do a release planning. We work in cadence, and we deliver value using features, not using user stories. So we plan features at a program level, and release train is team of agile teams, and they are aligned with common mission vision via single product program backlog. So we had a portfolio backlog, and when we come to a release train, we have a program backlog. So all these teams are having single program backlog. So we had a question that how many program or product backlog we should have. So we have a program backlog which aligns all the teams which are participating in this particular release train. So just if your organization is too big, if you have 1,000 people, you would be running multiple release trains, and those release trains could be defined at a value stream level. But each train would be following this particular format, where they would be having release level people and they would be having collection of team. The another important and interesting thing in SAFe is, which is a bit different from our normal agile theory, is when we think of, okay, let's plan for a program increment, we thought of, okay, we will be doing release program increment per 10 weeks. So this is a cadence we will work. Does it mean that release can only happen after 10 weeks? If I release next week, can I get it in between? So in SAFe, the cadence of development and release is different. So it talks about that we need to do a development in cadence, means we would be making 6 weeks or defined, like for this particular example, I'm taking 5 iteration cadence for a program increment, but release can happen anytime. So release is on demand. You can plan release in between also. Release may be driven by some milestone, something happening in your environment, or it may happen because of some emergency which has visualized in the development flow, or so any reason may trigger the release. You should be planning it in advance, but it is not necessary to have release at the end of program increment only. But many SAFe implementing team follow aligning this release with the program ending or a program incremental date, but it is not necessary. So this is the another important area which we should look at when we think of what is this SAFe is all about. Now, another thing. Now I got many questions because many of us are agile already, working as a Scrum Master. Now also what the Scrum Master does in this particular SAFe. Now we do have a train engineer. So there is another role, an important role. There are many roles, but I'm talking about few of them which I feel that many of my customers or my audience will get relate to more. So we have a role called release train engineer. So who is he? He is just a chief Scrum Master. He sits at a release level. He sits at a release train level. So he's not at a team level. Team level we have another Scrum Master, but he is there to facilitate program level and release level processes and activities. He is there to facilitate coordination among these teams by way of facilitating Scrum of Scrum. He is there to ensure that transparency is there from program level till team level. So he ensures the impediments get resolved which cannot be resolved by the respective Scrum Masters. So he is the one who ensures that my all bogies, my all agile teams work together in collaboration and produce output. So he is the one who takes care of chief Scrum Master role. So somebody talk about that, who does the Scrum of Scrum, how does it happen? So this guy is responsible for ensuring the Scrum of Scrum happens every like twice in a week, and we do resolve issues in it. Now let's talk a bit more about this particular program level image. So here this is an agile release train, and there are few roles, set of roles who are sitting at train level. What does it mean? So these guys, these particular roles are not associated with a given team for a individual team, but they are there to ensure that this train is running fine. So for example, you have a system architect at train level. So he ensures that the respective teams are following architectural guidelines and they are creating code which can scale or which can take care of the complete program increment. You have UX team, UX member or a team, a DevOps team, and shared people who are sitting at a release train level. You do have a group called release management. So release management is a group which has like release train engineer, which has product management. So there are people who participate in release management, but this group is primarily looking after the program level coordination. So they ensure that, for example, if your velocity is not going as per the planned one, how do you refine, or what deviation you want to take in your program increment? These such kind of issues or decisions are taken by this release management group. So we spoke about that there is a different level of product backlog. So we have a program backlog here, and program backlog is prioritized, managed by a product management. So we have a role called product management. It's not necessary to be a one person. There could be a multiple people who can play a product management role, and they are the one who are looking at features. They are the one who are prioritizing features using some techniques called WSJF. They are the one who are creating release level and program level objectives. So there are many groups which you can look at, and we do have a system demo. So every 2 weeks we should be having system demo where the complete integrated solution is getting demonstrated to the program level stakeholders. So this is a second layer of SAFe. Let's look at the team, and then I will take the questions. I know now I am getting many questions. So the pop-up is showing me many things. So finally, team. Now the good thing is there is nothing new in team. It is just agile team. So few things, they need to work with a sprint duration of 2 weeks. So in agile we were giving a opportunity to think about your sprint duration, but here it is recommended to work with 2 weeks sprint. Simple. And they are self-organized, empowered the way we have agile team. They do implement all Scrum project management practices. Means they would be having daily Scrum. They would be having retrospective meeting. They would be having sprint planning meeting. All Scrum project management practices are implemented. They would be also having backlog grooming meetings. And we follow XP-inspired technical practices to ensure that we produce good quality code. And they deliver value using users via user stories. Means they work on user stories. They don't work on features directly. They work on user stories. And from where they get user stories? They do have a role called product owner, our Scrum role. And this product owner is grooming this team backlog. So each team will be having product owner and Scrum master, and the product owner is creating user stories, refining them, and making invest story ready for these teams. So they work on 2 weeks sprints, synchronized sprints, and they produce working software at the end of the sprint. Now, many of you might wonder that what is this product management and product owner and how they differ from each other. So I thought of putting a slide on it because it is something many of you might find interesting. So product management, who sits at program level, is primarily a market facing person. So he co-locate with business. He looks after that what is which all features should be prioritized. Whereas product owner is a team facing guy. He co-locates with the team, and he is primarily focusing and refining team backlogs, which are having user stories. So he looks at program backlog. He looks at product, say team backlog. So we use a team backlog term here rather than a product backlog, because we have portfolio backlog, program backlog, and a team backlog. So this product management focuses on program increments and releases, whereas product owner focuses on sprint goals. Product management accepts, rejects features. Product owner, as usual, does the work related to the user stories. So in a sense, in Agile, we were having very powerful role called product owner. But in Scrum, we have a product owner who is more focused on team level prioritization and closely guided by the product management. In scaled implementation of Agile, that is needed because even if we are not implementing safe, but we need to ensure that multiple team should have somebody who can explain them the requirements. One person cannot do it for all those teams, and there should be a one consolidated group or team who ensures that these people who are explaining the requirement are aligned with a common goal, common guideline. So this is how it is getting implemented in safe. So we do have a Scrum Master in SAFe, and he follows all Scrum responsibilities, but there are few additional things which are associated with the train we are running. So in order to because he helps the Agile release train group or a program management group in order to ensure that coordination among other Scrum teams are done well. So usually he participate in Scrum of Scrum meetings in order to ensure that coordination remains good, and he also coordinates with other team. He also facilitate release train engineer in preparing for release planning and doing inspect and adapt cycles. So inspect and adapt is also done at 2 levels. One level is at a team level when we are running sprints. So at the end of a sprint, we do have a sprint retrospective, but another inspect and adapt happens at a program increment level. For when we are done with our program increment work, we have inspect and adapt where everybody participate. The complete release train group. And Scrum Master of SAFe also has to ensure that we have a normalized estimates to help estimation of feature and epic. Now this is something sometimes becomes controversial when we talk about people who are already implementing Agile, that why do we have to normalize story points? So in SAFe, we do recommend that there should be a normalization of story points among teams. When we talk about one, all teams should understand what one means. It's not like my one would be different than your one. So because we need to have an estimation at feature levels and epic level, and if we have different definition of story points, it becomes difficult. And he needs to ensure that coordination between different teams and system teams in order to have a bi-weekly system demo. So system demo in SAFe, the demo is done at 2 levels. One level is the team is giving their own demo when the sprint is getting finished in a sprint review ceremony, and we also have a system demo at a program level. So the system demo at a program level is an integrated demo where work of all the teams are integrated, and it may be delayed by 2 days, 3 days, depending upon your integration practice and complexity from the product review. So at a system demo level, the release group or a program level stakeholders get involved, and he attend Scrum of Scrum. Thank you, friends. Thanks for joining in, and stay connected.